Hi guys, I'm Aleah, and today I'm going to be giving you a synopsis of the article review that I did. The article I reviewed is called A Scoping Review of Populist Radical Right Parties' Influence on Welfare Policy and Its Implications for Population Health in Europe by Chiara Rinaldi and Marlene P.M. Becker. They did empirical research analyzing the effects of populist radical right parties and their ideologies on population health in Europe. The recent rise in popularity of PRR parties and their increasing influence in mainstream politics and political parties has raised alarm in consequential public healthcare policy. Rinaldi and Becker investigate the influence of PRR parties on health policy by analyzing the application of PRR ideology within four main sectors of the European political system: the constitution, the political economy, interest representation, and partisanship. The author's central purpose to the proposed research is to answer two specific questions: how do PRR parties' ideologies and actions influence welfare policy reforms, and what evidence is available on how this relationship is mediated by characteristics of the political system in different European countries. So first, Rinaldi and Becker explain the core components of PRR ideology. Central PRR dogma stems from the idea of welfare chauvinism, fueled by and substantiated by strong ideologies of nativism, authoritarianism, and skepticism of the elite. Welfare chauvinism is described as increasing welfare benefits for the hypothetical in-group while restricting access and eligibility for the out-group. In this context, in-groups are identified through the scope of nativism, excluding the most vulnerable populations of immigrants and minorities from public policy. Likewise, authoritarianism in this context describes those deemed deserving by the in-group to receive welfare and social security or state and government support and benefits. Exploring PRR influence in regards to a constitution, PRR parties tend to conflict with constitutional ideas. PRR thought rejects the hand of an administrating government in the context of benefit and resource redistribution, as PRR parties stand on a populist platform. Because of this populist platform, PRR parties have been successful in gaining a considerable following and therefore influence among the electorate. It has been found that PRR participation in mainstream government has had a declining effect on the health quality of vulnerable immigrants and minority groups, as they are not considered part of the populace by the PRR and its proponents. However, it was also found that checks and balances woven into democratic societies have had an inhibitory effect on the influence of the PRR on public policy. Regarding interest representation and partisanship, the PRR has made coalition with center-right mainstream political parties and have been successful in having their views and ideations of welfare chauvinism accommodated. Vote-seeking behavior among mainstream political parties has been the driving force, given the popularity of the PRR parties and their increasing following. This has also caused democratic parties to become more multiculturally skeptic and exclusionary in their policies. In conclusion, it was found that PRR influence on public health policy through the lens of welfare chauvinistic ideation has created a negative effect on health and health equity for the most vulnerable populations in Europe, which includes immigrants and minorities. So, linking these issues to a broader global context, the topics discussed by Rinaldi and Becker pose a great threat to the equality in European countries, especially for vulnerable minority groups and immigrants. The effects of populist radical right parties and their welfare chauvinistic ideologies and policies could cause already vulnerable subgroups to become even more disenfranchised and marginalized as nativist and authoritarian dogma start to become more and more accepted and adopted among mainstream political parties. This poses a huge threat in further increasing inequalities among at-risk populations, as well as the general population globally. PRR parties are gaining considerable following within numerous European countries that has only increased as immigration increases and unemployment decreases worldwide. This is alarming given the fact that these parties have also been described as extreme right, anti-immigrant, and even xenophobic as they continue to gain notoriety in countries such as France, United Kingdom, Denmark, the Netherlands, Finland, and Austria. So the reflective questions that I propose to you guys are: one, what are the implications on immigrant health in the face of this rise of popularity and following of PRR parties? Two, what sustainable development goal or goals is or are most associated and applicable to this topic, and explain why you chose the sustainable goals that you did.